What's going on, everybody? It's Cody. Welcome back to the channel. Tuesday night special event, the Commissioner's Cup final, 10K to first. I love to see that. I already see that they've put a 20K to first big tournament up for Thursday night. Really happy with that. This game should be really good. Arguably, the two best teams in the WNBA right now. I would argue that the Aces are back. They've looked really good the past couple games, but from the first half of the season, these are the two best teams in my opinion. Minnesota is very underrated. I don't think enough people are talking about them, and obviously New York last year made it all the way to the finals, won the Commissioner Cup last year as well, but really look like they are gelling like at peak performance level right now. So this should be a good game, but let's look at my lineup from yesterday. This was my main lineup that I ran. I did end up going Clark over Sabrina. Ended up working out for me. I think she topped her by like 4 or 5 points. Didn't do much of anything for like played the entire game, but didn't do much of anything like the last 7 or 8 minutes. I think she got 1 rebound, but still put up a 50 bomb. I love the spot for her. Played J.C. Sheldon and Inksler for value, and then just stuffed all the studs in. I told everybody how high I was on Natasha Howard. She absolutely nuked. Stewie, always high on Stewie. And I was very high on AT because she was the most expensive player on the slate, and box score watchers would not play her coming off of a couple bad games. And she has huge slate breaking upside. 44.5 fantasy points. Kind of disappointing because she had like 30 something at half and really cooled off in the second half. But this is how you win GPPs. 10%. One of the best players in the WNBA was 10% owned on a 4-game slate. I mean, 4-game slate, you would think, yeah, the ownership would be spread out. Nope. Stewie, 51%. Natasha Howard, 38%. Caitlin Clark, 39%. All of the New York big three were pretty high owned. AT come in really low owned. Arike came in lower owned. So you just gotta weigh your options and decide how much risk you're willing to take. Obviously, some days you just eat the chalk and then try and get different somewhere else. Like I ate the J.C. Sheldon and Inksler chalk. They both come through. So nice to end on some green before we get this little break. But the odds for this game, it's a 5-point spread, over under 162.5. I think that's a little wide in my opinion. I think Minnesota could win this game. Not cover the 5. I think they could flat out just win the game. I favor New York to win, but I do think Minnesota covers this 5-point spread. That's just my opinion from watching the games. I just think Minnesota gets overlooked way more than they should. But let's get into this team-by-team breakdown. For Minnesota, Fee at the top, 10.8K. I'm expecting her to play every single possible minute of this game. People may not understand what the Commissioner's Cup is. They're playing for a large chunk of change. If one of these teams win, it's going to be more money than some of the girls make in the entire season. So they're going to treat this like a WNBA finals game. It's going to be playoff rotations. It's going to be like everyone's going to be tweaking. They want to win this game. Fee, last game, if we look against the Mercury, she was on pace to play the entire game. She played the first 36 minutes and sat the final 4 because of the blowout. So would absolutely expect her to play every second of this game, assuming no foul trouble. She's one of the best players in the WNBA. Her usage is one of the best in the WNBA. She's one of the best scorers in the WNBA. She's a great rebounder, just great at getting peripherals in general. Great stock upside. One of maybe the best captain play on this slate because I think everyone's just going to keep chasing the New York Big Three, obviously for reasons. I mean, they're very good. Alana Smith, 8,600, really, really hard to get to her, in my opinion. I don't like the price tag on her. She's been good. I will give her that. But the minutes are ticking down. If you look, this game against Dallas, where she played 38 minutes, was the game that Bridget Carrollton was out, and they started Dorka. And so Alana played the entire game. Then she played 22 minutes when Carrollton come back. Dorka was getting more run. Then she played 22 minutes against Phoenix here, and we'll look at this. If you look at Alana, she exited with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. She did not come back until 3:28 in the second quarter and only played 2 minutes before exiting again. Then she played almost the whole third quarter, exited just under 2 minutes left. Then come back for a short shift in the fourth. Only saw 3.5 minutes. If the game was close, she was going to close. So she missed out on 3 minutes. Would have put her at 25 and would have probably taken 2 to 3 from Dorka. So would have put her at 15. 25 minutes for someone that's 8,600 is pretty steep in my opinion. It's really hard to pay that price tag for her. Obviously, she will be low owned. She always is on showdown slates because she just doesn't take a lot of shots. Like, we'll go back here. Like 7, 8. Disregard that game because she played the extra run. 7, 9, 3, 9, 6. She's going to stuff the stat sheet. She's going to grab some boards. She's going to get some assists. She has some stock upside. But that price is pretty steep in my opinion. McBride, 8,400. Obviously, really, really high ceiling, really low floor. Fantastic tournament play. If you're trying to solo ship first and making a bunch of lines, I would absolutely have some McBride because we all know what her ceiling is. She has over 40 fantasy point upside. She also has single-digit fantasy point upside or downside, so just be wary if you're going to play her. Courtney Williams is someone that I have a lot of interest in. She can burn you, but I'm expecting Courtney Vandersloot and Benaja Laney to return and play. Both of them may be limited, but I already mentioned they're playing for some cash here. So it's going to be all hands on deck. Everyone's going to be playing. And Courtney Williams is going to draw the Courtney Vandersloot matchup. And Sloot don't like to play no defense. So Courtney Williams can definitely exploit that, in my opinion. Obviously, big peripheral upside. She's been really good at getting peripheral stats all season. And I always say if she scores in double figures, she can put up a big game. I look down here, 52 fantasy points, 37.5. To start the season, she was really strong. 39, 29, 37, 32. She has had some stinkers, and she has gotten benched before for her lack of defense. So there is risk in playing her, but I think with it being for the Commissioner's Cup, I think the leash will be a little longer because she is such a versatile threat on offense, both as a facilitator and as a scorer. I think her leash will be a little longer. Bridget Carrollton, 6,800, perfectly fine with her. She's going to play low to mid 30s minutes, but playing someone like her, she has to hit her threes. If she comes out and rips her first couple threes, she's probably going to be in the optimal because she's a good three-point shooter, and once she sees one or two go in, they can all go in. But just know if they're not falling, she can get you single-digit fantasy points. So it's a risk-reward thing with her. Dorka, minutes are ticking up. I'm expecting her to play 13 to 18 minutes with the potential to play more if Alana Smith was to get in foul trouble. She's been good. She's not great at that price. Like, that price is getting pretty high, but she's fine. Like, if you're not taking a zero, you're going to have to play a couple of the mid-range plays. I personally would rather just play Carrollton because she's going to get the minutes, but Dorka's going to be low-owned, and there's always a chance of Alana Smith foul trouble, so keep that in mind. Natisha Heidemann, 5,800. minutes have been okay of late. She can really get it done everywhere if she's playing well. The problem is she will be the first one to lose minutes if she comes out in her first rotation and doesn't do anything. They just won't go back to her, especially, sound like a broken record, but since it's the Commissioner's Cup, if she comes out and plays for 4 or 5 minutes and doesn't play well, that's all she's going to play. She's just not going to get another rotation. So keep that in mind. If you're going to punt, I would probably punt with Zandalasini. I'm more confident that she's going to at least get a little bit of minutes. And she has the potential to hit a couple threes. She will probably play the few minutes that Carrollton sits. I'm not confident that Afufa plays at all, so I'm not personally on her one single bit. I'm not on Sikakone, and I'm not on Peely. So that's going to do it for Minnesota. On the New York side, we are still waiting on news on Benajelani and Courtney Vandersloot. I'm expecting both to play, like I mentioned before. Sloot has been out the past 2 games. I mean, she's back with the team. Sadly, her mom did pass away from cancer. That's why she was away from the team. But she has been back. She is getting up to game speed conditioning-wise. I'm expecting her to play. Maybe on a slight minutes limit, maybe like 20 to 22 or 24. Benajelani has been out with a knee injury, but I think they're just being safe with her because all the reports that I've seen were she looked fine. She was practicing, and they might have just been taking the safe route with her. I'm expecting her to play and play high 20s, maybe even 30 minutes, maybe push for normal run if she's playing well. Would not shock me a bit. Obviously, both of them back is a slight hit to the big three for New York because the usage will go down for them. Guessing who keeps their usage will decide who wins $10,000. Stewie, obviously at the top, one of the best plays in the WNBA, reigning MVP, has shown people over these past few games the Stewie of old. I mean, 54, 37, 64, and 45. Obviously, big upside. Just, will she shoot it? She's been way more passive this season compared to seasons before. But I always say with Stewie, if she comes out and the shot's falling early, watch out. I mean, she can go nuts. And, I mean, she had 50 at halftime against the Sparks in this game here where she played 37 minutes. But I will say this as well. With the New York side, I am lower on Sabrina than I am Stewie and JJ because with Sloot and Laney projected to be back, it is a slight downgrade to Sabrina because they have Fibich and Dojkic and Thornton all coming off the bench. A lot of those are guards. They still only have Stewie, JJ, and Thornton as bigs. Those are their only 3 bigs. So I would expect Stewart to play 37 or 38 minutes. I would expect Jonquel Jones to play her normal of 33 minutes or maybe even push for 35. They want to win this game too, obviously. I mean, the money's nice. Sabrina probably pushes for 35 minutes. Then you're going to have that little bit of minute where these girls are getting rest, where it's going to be like a Thornton, a Fibich, Dojkic. I would stay away from Burke and Davis. I don't think they're going to play at all. I'm not expecting Dojkic to play much. If Sloot or Laney are out, obviously I would mean a big uptick for at least one of the bench players. But of all the bench plays, Fibich is probably my favorite. She doesn't have to score to hit value. She can get you some peripheral stats. And if the shot's falling, it's even better. But I'm expecting all the starters to be back. I would be shocked if Sloot and Laney are out for this game. Just what it is and the money that's at stake, I would truly be shocked if they're out. But a couple roster like scenarios you can take a look at. If you think Minnesota wins, a lot of the time the team that wins the game has the winning lineup. Like, the winning team, one of the players for the winning team is in the captain spot, and it's usually like a 4-2 split for the winning team. Sometimes it's 3-3, and then sometimes it's even 5-1. I would not personally expect it to be 5-1 for the winner for either team. I think since the starters are going to play practically the entire game, you either take a 0, you find somebody down here, maybe you play like try and get to a Zandalasini and hope she gets 6 or 8 minutes and hits a couple threes and gets there, or you just play like a Peely and just pure punt and try and get up and get everyone up top that you can. The problem with that is if one of your players does not play well, you are just dead. You have 0 shot of cashing. I move on to Thursday slate. That's just the way it is. A lot of the time, it is the mid-range captain that I've seen. This year especially has been the mid-range captain builds typically win, but this is a different style game. This is practically a postseason game where the starters are going to play a lot, so the mid-range may not get the captain spot here. I would try and prioritize Stewie, Fee, or JJ at captain. One of those three, preferably. I mean, obviously the top 2 are the best captains. They're going to be the most optimal most of the time because they're the best 2 players on the floor. So if you can get to one of them, I personally like Fee for a little bit of a discount at captain. But if you can't get to them and you want to pay down, like let's say Vandersloot is out. Like Sloot's out, so obviously big tick up to Sabrina. She'd run the point again, so would like her a little bit more. But like if Sloot is out again, we saw what Benajelani had been doing the past few games. She played 33 minutes here against Washington, scored 5 points, shot 1 time, and put up 25 fantasy points. She's been a walking 30-point per game player with Sloot out. So there's reasoning to play her at captain, and then play a couple of the studs way up here. Like play the top 2 studs, or like say you don't want to play Stewie and you want to play Sabrina instead. Then you go down here and you figure it out. Like you're probably going to have to play a punt play if you're going to pay up for any kind of reasonable captain, or you take the route where you just have to pick your game script and go that route. Like if you think Minnesota wins, you run a Minnesota player at captain, and you either run a 3 Minnesota players, 3 New York players, or 4 Minnesota players, 2 New York players, or you flip it if you expect New York to win. Now the game is in New York. It's not at the Barclays Center because the NBA draft is going to be there or something with the NBA. So they're playing it somewhere else in New York, but New York is technically the home team. But I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be an awesome game in general. I really could see Minnesota winning it. I will pick New York, but I'm really excited to watch it. But I think I will do a live before lock tomorrow night because it's such a big game. Hopefully we don't get any crazy news. I'm expecting, like I said, Sloot and Laney to play. But if they don't, I will be live before lock answering questions in there. Or just hanging out, talking ball. If you want to stop by and ask some questions or just kick it. But if you enjoy the content, leave a like. It helps out the channel a lot. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, trying to get there by July 16th. That is my birthday, and that is the Queen of the Court final. It's going to be a crazy day. Really thankful for all you guys, but we'll see you later, and good luck.